And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to welcome the Honorable Dennis Daugaard, Governor of South Dakota.
Go Coyotes! Go Coyotes! Wow, wow. What a night. What a night. It is great to be here on the 100th anniversary of Dakota Days. Happy birthday, Dakota Days! Yeah! You know, I'm a little nervous. I didn't expect such a big crowd, and I've always been a little insecure. It started when I was 9 years old. I asked my dad, "Dad, was I adopted?" I knew something was wrong. Dad was a big man. He wouldn't look me in the eye. A tear rolled down his cheek, and he said, "Yes, son, you were adopted, but they brought you back." So, I've always been a little insecure since then. But I am honored to be here as a proud graduate of University of South Dakota. Yeah. 40 years ago, I was a junior here at USD, excited about homecoming and doing very well socially. My parents asked me what I'd be when I graduated. I said, oh, I think about 30. Seriously. Tonight here in South Dakota, we have great cause for pride. Consider some of our state's natural resources. The mighty Missouri, which bisects our state. The inverted bowl of clear blue sky here in South Dakota that connects us. And of course, South Dakota can claim both fruited prairie and purple mountain majesties. South Dakota's natural beauty is breathtaking. It's a beautiful state. We can also take pride in our economic resilience. In the wake of the recent recession, South Dakota, North Dakota, and Nebraska have had consistently the lowest unemployment in the nation. Today, South Dakota's unemployment is the second lowest in the nation, behind only North Dakota. Yeah. Our state was one of the first to rebound. There are only 14 states today who have recovered all the jobs lost during the recession. South Dakota has not only recovered all those jobs, but added over 10,000 more to reach a historic high. This was one of the first states to rebound, thanks to our business climate and committed citizens in retail, finance, healthcare, tourism, agriculture, and manufacturing. Among South Dakota's educational treasures are many private colleges and technical schools, and 6 state-supported universities, including the state's flagship institution, the University of South Dakota. Higher education creates opportunity and leaders for future generations. A significant percent of University of South Dakota graduates choose to stay in our state. It's our place, it's our home. Others leave for other states, other countries. Some graduates achieve worldwide recognition, while others make a difference in ways that are quieter, but just as meaningful. They are among our state's greatest treasures. What we all have in common, though, is no matter where we go, we're committed to changing the world, holding our pride for this state and our gratitude for all we have been given close to our hearts. It's remarkable how USD graduates express their gratitude through private giving to this institution. Our state can provide base support, but the opportunity for excellence lies in the vision and willingness of graduates to give back. Tonight, as we celebrate the launch of our Onward campaign, I invite you to share your gifts and share your story with others and tell them who you are, a South Dakotan and a proud graduate of USD. And now, it's my pleasure to present a recent graduate, still another treasure from South Dakota.
Here, direct from the touring company of the Book of Mormon, is 2012 USD graduate Cody Jamison Strand.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, that's my face. Are y'all having a good night? This is kind of crazy. Yeah, they did this place up right tonight, I think. Well, this evening is going to be one for the history books, folks. And tomorrow, can you believe it, is the 100th Dakota Days? That's like, whoa! You know, we've reached a century. That's a big deal, you know, and we all have our own little D-Days memories, don't we? I mean, I know I do, but if you're doing it right, you probably don't remember much at all. Well, I am Cody Jamison Strand, a proud South Dakotan. I grew up in Brandon, South Dakota, just outside of Sioux Falls, and I graduated from the University of South Dakota in 2012. And since then, a lot has happened. I have been on tour and on Broadway as Elder Cunningham in the Book of Mormon, and it has been a crazy, crazy wild ride. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. You know. I am here tonight as just one example of the difference that USD can make in the lives of their students. It was here on campus that I learned how to hold my own against other very talented performers and how to navigate the crazy side of the business world of theater. This week I had the opportunity to share my experiences with many students here on campus. They have so many questions, and I remember exactly how they feel because that was me 2.5 years ago. I am honored to be back here to be sharing with them some of the lessons that I have learned. For instance, people don't really expect to encounter a South Dakotan on Broadway, you know. They don't. Yeah, you know. So, it's pretty cool. You know, the question that I get all the time is, you're really from South Dakota? I'm like, yeah. Do you have internet there? And I'm like, yes, we do, and that's insulting. And then, you know, they say, I've never really met anyone from South Dakota. And I say, well, we choose quality over quantity. You know, South Dakota is really my home, and USD is where I got my start. I've had a lot of very, very important moments here. And tonight, I think we're gonna share. Tonight, we're gonna share in a few more.
Oh my God. So awesome.
This is the moment. This is the day when I send all my doubts and demons on their way. Every endeavor I have made ever is coming into play, is here and now today. This is the moment, this is the time when the momentum and the moment are in rhyme. Give me this moment, this special chance. I'll gather up my past, I'll make sense of it at last. This is the moment, this is the day. All of my dreaming, scheming, and screaming come to play. This is the day. See it sparkle and shine when all I've lived for becomes mine. For all these years I've faced the world alone, but now the time has come to prove to them I've made it on my own. This is the moment, my final test. Destiny beckoned, I never reckoned second best. I won't look down, I will not fall. This is the moment, the sweetest moment of them all. This is the moment, damn all the odds. This day or never, I'll stand forever with the gods. When I look back, I will always recall this was the moment, the greatest moment. This was the moment of them all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
The University of South Dakota is the oldest public institution of its kind in either Dakota. And there's a tremendous tradition of 150 years there.
It was founded like in the second year of the Civil War. This year will be the 100th D-Days that they're celebrating.
I came in as a junior, and I just felt when I left the university I had a whole lot more self-confidence. I think I grew up a little bit.
I was able to challenge myself, stretch the boundaries, and prove to myself that I can do more than what I could ever think of doing.
Because of the University of South Dakota, I was able to enjoy a fabulous career and make connections that I have had for a lifetime. There's a real sense of community that surrounds the experience at the University of South Dakota.
We still see people that we met over 50 years ago, and still come back and enjoy the experience on campus. And in recent years, it's even more lively.
It's almost the family values. The ties are still there. The friendships are very keen, very strong. And I think it's something that's very unique to people from South Dakota, and in particular the university.
Those connections, to me, that's kind of South Dakota, and that's okay.
Whether somebody graduated in 1977 or 1957 or 2007, you still have that connection. You feel that community. Stand in the middle and look around. You've got Slagle. Slagle is gorgeous. Old Main was a falling down building when I was there. Old Main has been redone with funds. We have a hard roof on the Dakota Dome, which we didn't have. We have a new med school. We have a new business school. The Newharth building has been redone.
A lot of alumni come back who haven't been there for a while, and they can't believe they're looking at the same campus. The new buildings, the renovation of historic buildings, the grounds are really quite remarkable.
I mean, just look at the campus. When kids come to look at a college, those first impressions are really important, I think.
It's just incredible. It's a really good feeling, and it's a really good time to be a student at USD.
The leadership of the University of South Dakota is in great shape.
It always starts at the top, even with what's his name, that Abbott guy.
And he has been such a fabulous leader. We have never had a president of the university like President Abbott. And so, you know, we are so fortunate to have him.
Somebody once told me years ago that there are two kinds of university presidents. There are mercenaries and there are patriots. And Jim Abbott is a patriot. He's there because he wants to be at USD.
You think about the challenges. You need somebody with the vision and the ability to implement the vision, and that is Jim Abbott.
Join me now in showing appreciation for the visionary leadership of USD President James W. Abbott.
By a strange coincidence, I checked my 1966 Coyote yearbook today, just this morning, and I was so surprised to see under "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I said, "Straight man to Governor Dugard and Cody Strand." Really? How prophetic. How prophetic. Well, of course, I'm the one who has to give the serious speech. And that's okay, because in many ways, this is a serious day. I've had the opportunity this week to read all kinds of things that I've read before about USD, but to really sort of focus on them. And what I really enjoyed reading about in Dr. Cummins' history of the University of South Dakota was the significant difference. I really didn't realize it was quite that. When President Robert Lincoln Slagle showed up here in the fall of 2014 as president, February of 14, I didn't realize that the university was quite so massively different. Catch this. We had, at that time, 381 students. Today we have 10,000 plus. Our annual budget, now Governor Dugart would like this, was $180,000. I knew that'd get him going. Today it's $178 million. Total cost of the student, interestingly enough, was $186 to $287 yearly, depending upon the course of instruction one chose. Today, the university is a relative bargain at $15,000 compared to the other states around us. The entire university campus was 60 acres with 7 buildings. Now we have 320 acres, 21 acres, and 67 buildings. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't say, and it's the absolute God's truth, we were so fortunate to be able to make so many of these changes in our last fund drive, $134 million fund drive, led by Rich Cutler and Linda Mickelson Graham and shepherded by Ted Muenster. You know, I walk my dog, McGovern, around campus. We name our dogs after defeated Democratic candidates. Their number is Legion. I walk my dog around this campus, and I usually wear my Ray-Ban sunglasses that I think I got as a sophomore at the University of South Dakota. And I'm lazy a little bit, so when I walk in the building, I don't take them off. But I finally decided that I needed to change them off when somebody said to one of my nieces, you know, your uncle does quite a good job considering he's blind. I've been accused of not seeing, never blind. I can't help but be proud of the changes that you saw on that screen just a couple of minutes ago in Nancy Gallagher's lovely voice. But it's even more so than the changes that I see. And I get emotionally overwrought upon occasion. Well, that's a little strong. But I really do get emotional. Part of that's, I suppose, my age. Part of it's realizing how lucky it is for me to be the president of the university that I graduated from and then came back to law school. That's a wonderful thing because you see everything differently. The buildings are wonderful, but you know what I really like? I love those little things on campus that I'm not sure everybody notices. That U-shaped bench between Slagle and Old Main. It says the class of 1923. Or those 2 pillars, have you ever noticed them? The 2 pillars with lights on them, right next to the New Music Museum, the National Music Museum, which of course at that time was the library. And it says the class of 25, 26, 27, 28. And right out here, the picture of Jimmy and Cliff Daniels, our superstars on the 1958 national champion basketball team. You know, that wasn't easy for those 2 young men from New York City. And it certainly wasn't easy as 2 of very few black students here at the University of South Dakota, but they persevered. They won that national tournament. And it wasn't comfortable in their tours throughout the South that they had to take to win, but they did it, and they would tell you that they were better for it. And I get a kick out of the hundreds of names on the wall. I kind of like graffiti, evidently. On the wall of Slagle, of Elf's Auditorium in Slagle Hall. You know, kids have written their names on it. It's cool. It's fun to see 1957. Things like that, just names and comments, to know some of them. And I really love thinking about Marjorie Beatty, Professor Beatty, a wonderful woman, math teacher, at 90 years old, 90 plus, walking up the stairs, every single one, to the top of the Old Main bell tower during the induction of mortarboard. What a cool thing. What a cool tradition. I think as I travel around the country and talk to folks, what I am constantly struck by is how much difference the university made in the lives of so many. And I don't want to embarrass anybody. Some of them are famous. Tom Brokaw, the late Al Newhart, that we just celebrated again yesterday. And the list of governors and senators and representatives and Supreme Court justices and other public servants long as my arm, all doing yeoman's work. But I think of other grads as well, and these are the stories that I really like. I think of the 1957 grad from Canton, who, with his wife, he graduated in 57, she graduated in 58. They took off so she could teach in Wisconsin so he could attend graduate school. And they lived in a park in the tent for the first 2 weeks because their job didn't start till the 3rd of September, and they weren't spending any money till the 3rd of September, and they got in their apartment. He went on to be an aide for Henry Kissinger, ended up being chairman of TRW. Now, my guess is that fellow would have made it no matter where he was, no matter what he did. But the fact is, his email address is Coyote57. And hers is Coyote58. And the Lawrence brothers. E.O. Lawrence, our only Nobel Prize winner. I'm sure we had several runners-up. E.O. Lawrence came here in 1922 as a sophomore. He went to St. Olaf, the Lutheran school, it says in the book, the first year because his mother thought he was too young for the wickedness of the state university. Well, he might have found St. Olaf a titch placid because he transferred at the end of that year. And just think of it. Just think of it. He did several things down here, many of which were very interesting, including teach classes in physics because he knew more than the professor, according to the professor. But he also built one of the first radio stations. That was the kind of thing he was interested in. And just 17 years later, in 1939, he received the Nobel Prize in Physics for the cyclotron, smashing the atom, at a very young age. And his brother, John Lawrence, also a graduate of the University of South Dakota, known far and wide as the father of nuclear medicine. That's the kind of students we've had at the University of South Dakota, and they're still involved. Their families are still involved with the University of South Dakota. I like to think about the business administration major, 1977 grad from right here in Vermilion, who is now the president of the Western Hemisphere, Halliburton. Good guy. Clearly, the B School was good for him. And the foreign exchange student from the Philippines, you actually saw him up here, Marlon Young, just a great person. He came here, and I never get the details quite right, but my recollection is that he came to Salem, South Dakota as a foreign exchange student when he was in high school, and he decided to stay at the University of South Dakota, and he thought he might want to be a teacher. And as he said, something sparked. Something changed. He is now either president or vice president, I can't remember which, private wealth, North and South America for HSBC Bank. Someone sparked the kind of thing in him that made a huge difference. And I like to think about our alum who was the director and general counsel of Starbucks. 1984 graduate, not all that long ago. Well, those are some of the people who have done particularly well. But think about the thousands of lawyers and doctors and teachers and healthcare providers, nurses, etc. All these people who have gone out into this world, and many of them stayed in South Dakota, to make South Dakota a better state. That's what we do here at the University of South Dakota. And frankly, that's what Onward is about. Because the governor had it just right. Now, between you and me, I say he always has it just right. Because that seems to be politically bright. But he has it absolutely right. We're state supported because that's our state. That's the way we do things. We're fiscally prudent. But we would not have what we have here today without the help of everyone in this room and thousands more. I'm absolutely convinced that if we want to continue to be what we've always been, to the people that we have always supported and more, we need to make sure that Onward, the campaign for South Dakota, is successful. We need to raise $250 million, $97 million for scholarships. A huge percentage of our students come here without sufficient funds. They need assistance one way or the other. We need to help those students. We need to support our faculty. It's getting more difficult and more difficult to retain, to hire and then retain the best faculty. Our salaries are not what they are in some other states. They're not bad, but they're not what they should be. And student support. You know, our students don't get to take advantage of certain things that they should. They ought to have a European experience if they can, or at least a foreign experience. I think about this great girl young woman from, I think her name was, she was from Corona, South Dakota. I never quite figured out why they named a town in South Dakota after a Mexican beer, but you know, whatever works. I talked to her the second or third week that she was here at USD as a freshman. By the end of that freshman year, she was doing research for someone, I don't know who, but she was smart, and whoever put her up to this was smart too. She was doing research in Africa, and she told me that she'd really never been out of state before. And in that summer, she had that experience. And the last time I saw her, Colette and I went to Cornell to watch USD play basketball. And she came and sat down and said, "Do you remember me?" And of course I did. And she said, "I'm here getting my MD, PhD, and then I'm going to do wonderful things." That's exactly what she said. And you know what? I'm sure she is. That's what it takes. We have to support those students to do the things that they want. That's what it takes. They need to have the experiences that everybody else in other institutions have. They need to be able to spread their wings, to fly, and to be great. I'm probably not telling you a whole lot that you don't already know, but maybe not everyone realizes the extent to which we need to go above and beyond the state stipend. Actually, for states go, it's pretty good. 27% is not bad. But what happens? What happens when it isn't 60% as it was? And I noticed in 1914, the stipend from the state was $180,000. It was $180,000 total budget and $130,000 from the state. Now, I'm not complaining or whining, but I'm saying this. We need to fill that gap. When I was a student here, the state paid about 60% of the cost. Now, the state pays about 40%. Our students really need the assistance that you can give them in an endowed scholarship. So, I would just say this. As you think about the University of South Dakota and your time here, think about that special professor who said to you, "You know, you could really be good at this." Or who perhaps said, "You know, you shouldn't be quite as social as you are." Because you're not going to get to Northwestern Law School if you don't buck up. I'm sure nobody said that. But how many people have you talked to who say somebody said to them, "You need to do better"? I remember Doc Farber talking about Tom Brokaw, telling him Tom Brokaw talking about Doc Farber, saying, "You need to get the wine, women, and song out of your system, so quit. Get out of here and come back when you're ready to be a student at the University of South Dakota." You know, in my 18 years as president, I'm taking too long, I think. In my 18 years as president, I never heard anybody say, "I am what I am today because of X, Y, or Z, who was a tremendous administrator." But 1,000 times I've heard somebody say, "If it weren't for Art Volk, I don't know what I'd be doing. If it weren't for the Ahrensbergers, I don't know what I'd be doing. If it weren't for Ramon Harris, I don't know what I'd be doing. If it wasn't for the professors in the medical school who sat me down and said, 'You need to take a refresher course in the summer, you need to make this happen.'" That's what this campaign is all about. Because 100 years from now, I hope somewhere it says that we were able to do what we did because people, X number of years ago, starting many years ago and continuing through Ted Muenster and Rich and Linda and everybody else who made it happen, that they're able to say, "We survived and we survived well. We served our state and we served it well. We served our students, and they are what they are because this is our university. Thank you.
The campaign slogan, Onward, really means to me that this will provide students an opportunity to be able to set themselves up for a fabulous life in South Dakota or wherever their future careers and lives take them.
We're attracting very high-quality students. Students realize and see that, hey, I can get a scholarship here that's just of equal quality of going to a top 5 university.
To see these people and meet them and hear their stories and see, you know, the impact and enthusiasm that they express. And then, you know, as that happens, you do more.
And it's just a really great feeling for me to know that I have a university that cares enough to give as much as they do to me.
I think one of the things that USD does is it takes students from around the state, around the region, and prepares them to compete at whatever level they choose to. The education that I got that was as good as any that you would find in the country.
I think it's just in your heart. I mean, I never not loved the university. The experience, the education that I got, the friends that I made. When you have a good experience like that, you just always think of it in a very fond way and will always love the university.
By having the scholarships, I was able to focus on school and make school my job and be able to have more free time for extracurriculars, student organizations. Scholarships are really what helps create my university experience.
The university was so key to setting me up for a successful career and a successful life that I don't feel I would have been able to do that without the benefit of an education at USD. So because it's so important to me, I really feel that I want to give back.
We took so much from it. I think it's only fair, almost a quid pro quo, that it's a pleasure and really a gift and a reward to give back.
Alumni can't think that it's going to be everybody else that's going to contribute to the university. It has to be a total effort.
I think we all should be proud of being graduates in the university. I think we've got a very good education, in my opinion, and we owe something back.
You want it to be successful. You want the campaign to make the mark and exceed. You're proud of what's taken place and you feel like, well, maybe I had a little bit to, helping move that along too.
It's one way to reach out and touch the future. The campaign has a preliminary goal of $250 million, and I think it will meet that and exceed that in the end. I just see nothing but good things in the future. I'm very proud of what we've accomplished, and I think 20 years from now, people look back and say, well, they did okay back by 2014, but we're even better in 2034. So I hope I live that long.
Whether you have given back in the form of monetary contributions or just by you being here this evening, it shows the commitment already. And it shows me that the university is not just 4 years, it's for life.
To me, it's a spirit of being a South Dakotan, being a lifelong coyote, and actually paying it forward to the students that will follow us for the next 150 years.
If you feel that you're part of the South Dakota community, that the money you donate, whether it goes to a scholarship or a professor or a building, I mean, it's really a way of giving back to the state. And if you feel like I feel that I benefited from the actions of a lot of people whose names I never knew, then it's a way of continuing that tradition.
Now, let's welcome 2014 Dakota Days Parade Marshals and co-chairs of the Onward campaign, Nancy and Tom Gallagher.
heard many perspectives on USD tonight. You've heard from some of the students in the videos. You heard Governor Dugard talk about the importance of the school to the state. You heard President Abbott and his passion and his vision for our school. The last part of the picture to be filled in is the perspective of alumni, and that's what Nancy and I would like to talk to you about now.
So 41 years ago, last month, I arrived at the university as a freshman. That same month, I met a sophomore named Tom Gallagher. Tom went on to have a career as a Wall Street analyst. At that same time, on campus, there was a law school student named Jim Abbott and a government major named Denny Dugard. Now, I know as sure as I'm standing here today, there are future university presidents, future South Dakota governors, and many successful careers among the students today. But they need us. Now, Jim and Denny and Tom and I would like to think we haven't changed much in 41 years. But we have, and so has the cost of education at the university. We heard a little bit earlier, but if we just go back roughly 15 years, the state provided more than 2/3 of the funding. That current amount today is less than 1/3. And the students making up that difference were admitted to the university using higher academic admission standards than when Jim and Denny and Tom and I were here. The governor just said, thank God. Now, and I want to tell you that the students with those higher academic admission standards are also the ones that you'll be seeing tomorrow. But the university knows that to get those top students, we need scholarships. And that's where all of us come in. So I know some of you have already donated to the Onward campaign, and for that, I say thank you. I cannot say thank you enough. But also, please don't stop thinking about the university. So when the university or the foundation call you, and I know they will, I really would like you to think of one thing. I would like you to think about the students making up that cost difference. Those same students admitted using those higher academic standards. The students you'll see at the parade tomorrow, the students you'll see on the football field. I want you to imagine them, that freshman girl meeting that sophomore boy, that law student that became the best university president we have ever had. And that government major who became the governor of our government major who became the governor of our great state of South Dakota. Your gift to this Onward campaign can open the world for those students.
So I like to think that Nancy and I make a good team. As you just heard, Nancy really speaks from the heart. I tend to speak more from the spreadsheet. So I'd like to tell you how the Onward campaign is doing. Since its launch in 2012, the campaign has really been in what's called the quiet phase. That's where it's all about getting off to a great start and generating momentum for the rest of the campaign. But in some important ways, the quiet phase hasn't really been all that quiet. We've already had over 10,700 alumni and friends of our school commit to supporting the campaign. But within that group, there are 138 gifts that really stand out as having the potential to transform the school. The names of those donors are in your programs, and we sincerely thank all those donors for the leadership that they've shown. Tonight, though, we're using the 100th Dakota Days celebration to pivot from the quiet phase to the public phase of the campaign. That doesn't mean it's too late to provide another leadership gift, far from it. It does mean, though, that there's a shift from depth to breadth in the fundraising priorities of the campaign. So it's no exaggeration to say that the success of the campaign depends on the broad-based participation of the alumni community at large. So if you've given, then on behalf of current and future students, we thank you. If you haven't given, please think about it. Think about giving new generations of students the same opportunities that you've had, and think about your own legacy. And none of us is going to be around to help celebrate it, but any endowed gift that you make now will still be benefiting students when they gather to celebrate the 200th Dakota Days. So as we move into the public phase of the campaign, we want to report to you on our progress. As you've heard earlier, our goal is $250 million. Now, $250 million is a really ambitious target for USD, but we were inspired by the success of the last campaign. That was a 6-year campaign that ended in 2007, and it raised $134 million, more than double its target. So, how is the Onward campaign doing? Well, who better to help us answer that question than USD's very own champions?
Three, two, one, and the Coyotes win! The Coyotes win! Yeah, baby, the Coyotes win! In just 2 short years, South Dakota has climbed the summit, and the Coyotes are headed to the NCAA tournament for the first time.
Please welcome the 2014 Summit League champions, the University of South Dakota women's basketball team, led by head coach Amy Williams.
Thank you. Good evening and happy Dakota Days. We are honored to be a part of this historic weekend. The last 6 months have been amazing for our team, our program, and our university. The pride that we all feel watching those images on the screen are what tonight is all about. In our 2nd year of Division I competition, the women standing before you became champions and were able to experience March Madness. We thank you for helping us celebrate our victories. But tonight, we are here to celebrate another accomplishment. With your support, Onward, the campaign for South Dakota, has reached an impressive milestone. Tonight, these champions are honored to reveal what you, the university's champions, have accomplished. Now, for the number, ladies, with the same intensity you had at practice today. Are you ready? 135,223,415. That is more than halfway to our $250 million goal. Thank you again for your support, your loyalty, and your pride in USD. Go Yotes!
So thank you, Coyotes. That team is a wonderful example of dedication, commitment, and pride. And just to connect the dots for you, this means the amount that they unveiled means that the Onward campaign has already broken the record set by the last campaign, even though we're just going into the public phase now. So I just want to conclude here with, from academics to athletics to the arts, USD has found its place on the national stage. We've seen one example after another of our alums going on to do great things. We'd like to thank Cody Jamison Strand for taking a few nights off This qualifies for a night off, I guess. But we'd like to thank him for taking a few nights off the Rochester, New York performance of his Book of Mormon to join us here in Vermilion this week. His story, along with so many others, is proof that USD is shaping tomorrow. So join us, support the campaign, move the University of South Dakota onward, and seize the day.
The time to seize the day, stare down the odds and seize the day. Minute by minute, that's how we win it. We will find a way, but let us seize the day. How we face our fear. Courage cannot erase our fear. Tell those with power, safe in their tower, we will not obey. Now is the time to seize the day. Stare down the odds and seize the day. Once we've begun, if we stand as one, someday become somehow, and a prayer becomes a vow, and the drive starts right damn now. Now is the time to seize the day. Now is the time to seize the day. Answer the call and don't delay. Answer the call and don't delay. Wrongs will be righted if we're united. Let us seize the day. Now let him hear you loud and clear. Now let him hear you loud and clear. Everybody's drawing near. Everybody's drawing near. Proud and defiant, we'll slay the giant. Judgment Day is here. Oh, now's the time to seize the day. They're gonna see there's hell to pay.